This is Build a Big Podcast. I'm David Hooper. I'm testing some new equipment, and I thought to myself, why not record an episode of Build a Big Podcast as I test this equipment? So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm in a different studio. I'm not really in a studio. I am at my desk where I do things like write my book. Do you know I have a book on podcasting? I do. bigpodcast.com/book if you want more information on that. Anyway, normal desk, normal computer right in front of me. But sometimes I need to use a mic in this setup. Usually when I'm talking with clients, we're doing a video conference, and I really prefer phone. I think as podcasters, we need to get used to listening to people audio only, no visual cues, because that makes us better interviewers. But when I'm working with more than one person, sometimes video is nice. Let you know who you're talking to. Anyway, because I'm doing more video conferencing and things from this desk, I needed a better mic setup. I used to use a tabletop desk stand. It's a little weird. You got to lean into it. I mean, at least I do. Some people just crank up the gain. Sounds like they're in a big box. I don't. I lean into it, just like a radio guy, just like you should be doing. And one of the things that helps you not lean into it is when you bring the mic to you, and you can do that through a boom stand. So I decided to get a boom stand for my desk. It's what I use in the podcast studio that I built at my house. It is what I use on the radio. The difference between this boom stand and why I'm mentioning it here is because this one is cheap. I decided to go for it. I was like, what the hell? It looks like the expensive boom stands that I have in my studio. Of course, you get the box. Each of the arms is about maybe 18 inches long, not 2 feet. It's small. It's lightweight. It's cheap. But what do you expect for $15? For that price, I think it's pretty good. This is a stand. It's by a company called Neewer, Neewer, and I took a chance on it because I've seen other Neewer stuff. Neewer makes lighting. Neewer makes basically cheap electronic stuff. If it can be replicated from a factory in China and it can be done cheaply, they make it. And that's exactly what they did. It's not a bad boom stand. It has springs on the outside, which some people don't like. I don't know if you can hear that. You're going to move it around. You're going to maybe bump into those springs. But it looks just like a lot of the professional stands that I've used. It looks just like the one that I've got in the studio for Music Business Radio. The only difference is that the stand in the Music Business Radio studios, for one, it's bigger. But those springs, so much more powerful. That thing could hold a bowling ball. We use these expensive, heavy, professional mics, RE20. This stand, the $13 one by Neewer, it's not going to hold a professional broadcast mic. If you use a Blue Yeti, not going to hold it. But if you use an ATR 2100, which is the mic that I'm talking into right now, any kind of handheld mic, the Shure SM58, if you got a mic like that, this thing is going to work for you. I don't know that I would put it in my main studio. If you want something to last, go ahead and invest in one of the good stands at OC White, Rode. There are a lot of great stands, about the $100, $200 range. Get something that's going to last. Don't just get this cheap stuff. It's going to last a month or two. Throw it in the landfill. Don't do that. Get something that's going to last. But if you're not fully committed to podcasting, you've got a situation like this where you need a secondary stand. You're not going to use it a lot. This is a great stand. $13 on Amazon. The episode notes at podcast.bigpodcast.com will have it linked, or just search for Neewer Boom Stand, Neewer Boom Stand on Amazon.com. You will find it. It has 4,400 reviews. 775 people have asked questions about it. It is the top boom stand on Amazon. That's why I took a chance on it. Just for the record, I think a lot of people get caught up in having super expensive equipment. They love the blinky lights. They love to say, oh, I've got the Rode PR40. Or the AT BP40, or the RE20, or whatever big expensive broadcast mic that they've got. Most podcasters, you don't need that. This sounds great, right? The thing that's going to make your podcast sound the best is you working on your talent. A $60 mic, like the one that I'm speaking into, that's going to help you. That sounds a whole lot better than talking into your iPhone. But once you get to that level, $300, $400 broadcast mic, not going to make a huge difference in your podcasting. You are much better off spending time working on your podcasting. And as I mentioned at the top of this episode, I have a book that will help you do just that. It's called Big Podcast. It is all about how to grow your audience, get people talking about your show, and make a podcast that people care about. bigpodcast.com/book. If you want that, if you want more of this, more of Build a Big Podcast, you can get that for free. That's at bigpodcast.com/subscribe. I've got 3 buttons for you. If you listen on an iPhone, got you covered. Android, got you covered. You want an old-fashioned RSS feed? I've got a button for that. bigpodcast.com/subscribe. Thank you for listening to Build a Big Podcast. If you check out the Neewer stand, I want to encourage people to get into podcasting without the most expensive podcasting equipment. I want to see a picture of the studio that you set up with it. I've got an Instagram account. It is Big Podcast 1. Just spell out Big Podcast with the number 1 at the end. On that account, I feature all sorts of studios, from guys who are recording into the closets with a single laptop to guys with really expensive mixing boards, tens of thousands of dollars, some of them, that probably would be better used making a record than a podcast. But I want to show it all. The Instagram account, Big Podcast 1. Check that out and send me a picture of your studio. I will feature you there. I will link to you, get more attention for your podcast. Thank you for listening. I'll see you on the next episode of Build a Big Podcast.